Disney shuts down production on the MCU's biggest upcoming movie, which happens to be Deadpool 3.
Right.
So we
but didn't they move it up first? First it was supposed to be,
move it up first.
It was going to be November of 24. Then they moved it up to May.
Yes.
Now it's going to get delayed again. What? Probably back to November or later.
Probably. Yeah. Hopefully November. Hopefully not later. But it's due to this strike. We talked about it briefly earlier. But there's a couple organizations, the SAG, the RAG, and they're on strike. Basically, writers said we're not working anymore,
right? Because
they're negotiating. There's another. It's like two unions pretty much, right? You got the Writers Guild of America represents all the writers. Then there's this AFTRA. They represent the companies, and the companies. For streaming, there's no industry average that they've agreed upon, right? So if you're writing on a show, there's an average. So if me and you are writers and I work for Marvel, you work for DC, DC can't lowball you because they don't like you, because you're newer. Like if I'm getting paid $1 million a year to write, and they can't lowball you and go, hey, we'll pay you $10,000 a year. Right. There's industry there's standards, there's averages, right? That's where these
as it should be.
As it should be. Problem is. The way the recent agreement is written is it applies to shows on TV, but not streaming. And now these companies are being hurt with the cable ad revenue right now because, streaming is killing cable, right?
Right.
So they're being pressured by investors, Wall Street.
Yep.
They want to get returns because of all this money they invested in streaming. So the AFTRA, their stance is, well, we'll just take it from the streaming and not pay the artists and not pay the writers of whatever, a fair amount, and that's where we'll recoup it, right? And the writers are like, yo, fuck that, we ain't working then, right? So, this is my version of what's going on, my Reader's Digest version. So May 2nd, the Writers Guild of America, their labor goes, hey, we're going on strike. We're not showing up for work anymore. And, that pushed back a handful of films, but thankfully there were films that were about to start filming, and they could get them started without the writers, right? Because I didn't know. I actually learned a lot of this recently. They have writers on set while they're filming. They have to have a certain amount of writers on set because if there's any changes that come up, they need the writer involved so they get the proper credit. And I guess that's another thing that these unions, these organizations do, is they ensure that everyone who works on the movie gets proper credit, right?
That was new to me too. I didn't know that, which is cool. Yeah. Because there's sometimes like some cool ad-libbing that goes on, and they want to make those changes. But I wasn't aware that they were right, because I thought that the script was done. Yeah. But by the time they started filming, and then they just went ahead with whatever. Yeah, they did some ad-libbing, but they just kind of like penciled it in and kept it pushing. But that's not the case. Well, that's cool.
And especially not the case with Marvel. I think, to your point, most big-budget Hollywood films probably work more like the way you're saying. But Marvel, they ad-lib and change so much stuff. Like, I remember reading that Iron Man 1, they barely had a script when they started filming. A lot of it was just improv. Nice. Hey, here's the scene, what it's going to be. Work a few, me and you go back and forth a few different times, and then the director takes the ones he likes.
And look at the success of Iron Man 1 with the ad-libbing, because they had people on set. Pay the people.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I'm at. My stance is the same thing. Dude, pay the writers.
Right.
Because if you're paying them X on a show, and then streaming's where it's at, you shouldn't pay them lower on streaming. Well, we negotiated to get more ad revenue from cable, and that's on you. You're the company. You fucked that up.
Right.
It's not the writer's fault. And then now, I don't know if the actors, I don't know if you read this, they're now on strike. And I don't know if that's just to support the writers or if they have their own issue going on with, their union as well. I don't know.
So we got 3 separate groups on strike: the writers, the companies, and now the actors.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. And that just started on Friday the 14th was when the writers went on strike. And that brings us to Deadpool 3 production coming to a halt. I'm sorry, the actors. There were people walking out of like movie premieres and stuff. Right. It was like once like the news went out they were on strike, there were a couple, I forget who they were, but a couple actors. Actually, I think it was my man Tom Cruise again. Tom Cruise back at it. But this time he's working his way back on my side, because now he's moving he's out of the doghouse. Because he went on strike. He walked out of a movie premiere because of the writer's strike on Friday, or when the actor strike. So
what does walking out of a movie premiere actually do? What does that say? Besides that, for me, if I walk out of a movie, the movie is so bad I can't even stomach watching the rest of it. So when a Tom Cruise walks out of a movie premiere. What does that mean to anybody?
Well, dude, I mean, we already know Tom Cruise is up here. I mean, he's the one who said The Flash was the greatest movie ever. So someone at his level walks out, dude. Right. There's no premiere no more.
Oh, there we go. Shut it down. Everybody else leave.
Shut it down. But so Deadpool 3 has been shut down. The only movie that's still filming, I guess, for Marvel right now is Captain America. But if we're following this trend, I would assume they're going to be shut down soon, too, as well. So bad news there.